Hi, it's Paul Ryan. I call them sparks. It's kind of like a spark plug that ignites an engine. A musician or songwriter gets a spark for a song idea. In another show, I talked about players and poets. I finally discovered that I'm more of a player than a poet, so I usually create the tune or melody first, and then I try to fit the lyrics around that. Probably the best description of how a song comes to life is from Robert Lamm of the great 60s and 70s band Chicago. He describes how he wrote the huge hit 25 to 64. First came that now famous riff, do 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 do. Then came the struggle to determine what the song was about. Then came the song. Lamm, of course, by that definition, therefore, is a player.
I'll go out to LA, and I had a piano set up in a room in that house. So coming home one night from the whiskey, I was just kind of unwinding. I sat down at the piano and started playing something like the riff, the famous riff from the song 25 or 64, which had no name and had no lyrics yet. And I just kind of fooled around with it for, maybe half an hour, looked out over the city of Hollywood, looking at the lights on the tall buildings. So that was like flashing lights against the sky lyric. But I couldn't figure out what the song was going to be about. I looked across the room, and there was an old grandmother's clock on the wall. I couldn't quite make out what the time was, but the hands on the clock were somewhere around 25 or 26 to 4 a.m. And I just began to just jot down what the hell I was doing there. And I thought, well, for now, I'm just going to describe the process of writing this song, and I'll figure out what the lyrics are going to be later. But I didn't need to. So once I laid out the grid and I figured out what the chorus was, I took it into rehearsal. I think it was maybe the next day. We were rehearsing at the Whiskey during the day, and I played it for some of the guys, and I said, "This is a new song. What do you think?"
Isn't that the coolest story? That riff, do 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 do. It's now a part of rock history, of course. But listening to him talk about how he wrote it, it was born as a lonely guitar riff being played by Lamm over and over for half an hour, he says, without any lyrics. Then came the lyrics, and sounds like he had 2 or 3 ideas, like the shining lights against the sky and things like that he inserted in there. And then he wrote the song. Okay, if that's where songs come from, at least from a player's perspective, what about final form? How about rhyming patterns and popular ways to set down lyrics to a song? I'm going to look at that next week.
I wonder what Paul's featured song is today on SoundThreads. Paul, what have you got for us?
My featured song this week is titled The Lineman's Song. No, it's not about those people that go up on telephone poles and attach and detach wires. It's about football. And if you like football, you know that, the big stars on a football team, they get all the cheers, the accolades, and the biggest contracts. It's in the trenches where a game can be won or lost. So I wrote the song about an offensive lineman. He protects his players. He does whatever he can to help win a game. Hope you enjoy The Lineman's Song.
The Sunday showdown finally here, an hour or so away. Week 18 and no retreat, there was a game to play. The lineman walked across the chalk, pawed his sharp cleats in, down into the tired grass, now bending in the wind. So many times he tried to leave this unforgiving game, but like some small pathetic moth keeps running to the flames. He watched his teammates jog on by as they took to the field in twos. He'd guard those boys the best he could, then spring the runner loose. All the game balls, hits, and years worth in his safe veneer. Lately he'd been barely hanging on to a small town country boy. The bright lights seemed unreal. Now he wants to shout how he really feels. He shuffled past the coach's park, go get me 10 the cry. At the set he glanced across into the monster's eyes. A frothing grin and angry mask, no doubt this must be him. Word had spread around the league, you don't mess with the Finn. At the snap the monster pounced, the lineman staked his mark. The seconds seemed to pass so slow his grip would come apart. He panted, puffed, and tried his best, but couldn't hold his ground. The monster's strength was just too much, the lineman tumbled down. At 4th and 1 he made a pledge, whatever it will take. His move was quick, in a moment's blink he took the game away. He pushed and shoved and led his man in safely for the score. Then fell into a pile of joy, he'd not take one hit more. As he lay there in a heap, his thoughts turned way inside. He'd live to fight another week with sweat and hurt and pride. One more time he'd have a chance to feel just like a king. One more time to try again to wear the winner's ring. All the game balls, hits, and years were in his safe veneer. Lately he'd been barely hanging on to a small town country boy. The bright lights seemed unreal. Now he wants to shout how he really feels.
And today, what is going on in the musical world of Freddie Spaghetti?
It took Freddie quite a while pausing and playing Crossroad Blues and blindly hunting for its key and its chords. Man, is this ever good? But what the heck is the key? Did they have different keys and chords back then? Finally, he stumbles onto the note of A major. He can play an A chord, but not well, but he can do it. But he knows that the key of G is a whole lot better and easier to play. And after all, wouldn't it sound better in G where you could introduce some bluesy notes? Yeah, definitely. It would be amazing to play that song in G. But to do that, Freddie needs a capo, which he'd been thinking of buying for quite a while now, but never did. A capo clamped onto the guitar neck is going to allow Freddie to play using chords he knows and play Crossroads Blues along with Robert Johnson. He urgently needs a capo. Tonight, right now. The local music shop, Crooked Fret, is only open for another hour. There wasn't much time. Freddie carefully packs his guitar away and leans it carefully against the wall. He grabs his credit card, fumbling to get it into his jacket pocket. Slow down, dummy, or you're going to lose the credit card. He rushes to the door, where a blue and yellow mountain bike leans against the wall, at the ready for emergency duties just like this one. In one motion, Freddie zips up his jacket pocket, feels for his credit card now securely inside, and holds the door open with his foot to get the bike out. He hurriedly locks the door and dashes down the hallway to the elevator. Finally, Freddie's outside and jogging with his bike beside the apartment building's entry area. He checks his watch. It's 5:50 p.m. He hops on the bike. He starts pedaling. Faster. fast as he can towards Main Street and the Crooked Fret music shop. Hi, it's Paul Ryan here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me here on Sound Threads. I hope you enjoyed the show and hope you'll join me next week for another edition of Sound Threads.